figured we'd have a look at fleet vehicles, battery electric vehicles. In this entire conversation, you're not going to hear the hydrogen word again.
Perfect.
That's for you, David. So yeah, battery electric fleet vehicles. Here we go. Or for those people who are very keen on Dr. Strangelove. and, and this is not an all-inclusive list. I'm sure I've missed a couple. And it's good news when I can't keep up with all the stuff going on. That's just really awesome. And I'll also say that we do not promote any specific EV maker. We know, and we get no editorial direction from anyone other than our membership. So, moving on. A lot of you people will be pretty aware of most of these environmental benefits. When we get gasoline and diesel onto the island here, which all has to come by diesel ferries and diesel trucks. Every time that we burn a liter of gas, we're getting 3,800 grams per liter. You might be wondering why I'm talking in grams. And that means you have 34,200 grams per 100 kilometers, but a heavy truck will kick out about 167,000 grams per 100 kilometers. Now, on the island here, our grid is all hydroelectric, which is only 12 grams of GHGs per kilowatt hour. And that means your average car is only kicking out 192 grams compared to 34,200. And a heavy BEV heavy truck would only kick out 14,400 compared to 167,000. So that's a huge benefit. They emit nothing while moving or parked, which is very important. If you've ever seen an ambulance in an alleyway trying to take care of somebody who's been beat up or whatever, everybody within like 10 meters is sucking diesel the entire time it's there. If you're same thing with fire trucks, when they're doing their business, they're emitting the entire time. And police officers, on an average 8-hour shift, they're idling for 5 hours. And you know, a good deal of that stuff ends up inside the cabin with them, and all of it ends up with everyone around them. BEVs don't leak oil and gas onto the road. So, you know, the advice that we've had a dry spell for a while and we get some rain, you know, be careful, give yourself lots of braking room. That's because all the oil coming back up that's been dripped on the road the entire time. So, more BEVs, cleaner roads. And BEVs are in operation. You don't hear them doing their biz. Economic benefits. Fuel costs range from about 2 cents for a car to 14 cents for a heavy truck per kilometer. ICE vehicle, 13 cents for a car to above 57 cents for a heavy truck per kilometer. BEVs require no oil, belt alternator, or fuel system maintenance, and because of the regenerative braking, very little brake maintenance. So the vehicle stays in service longer. Your average Class 8 semi-truck is off the road 2 or 3 days a month doing things like oil changes and brake changes, and tires. Well, tires would have to be done anyway, but oil and brake changes, those things, you know, are actually keeping the truck off the road from earning $1. Plus, because there's almost zero that has friction in a BEV, that means that unlike an ICE powertrain, they don't age as quickly, right? So they're worth very little at the end of service. Whereas a BEV, a secondhand owner or whatever, the secondhand owner is looking for that total cost of operation benefit. Plus, if battery is trashed, then there's still people looking for large format batteries, especially if they're from Liskeety Island. Bless you, Don. Can you mute?
Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to roll into some emergency vehicles here. Ambulances. This particular one is a Nissan ambulance, full BEV in Tokyo. Can't find any BEVs yet in North America. There are ones down in Ontario where they've taken pretty much everything except the drivetrain off of the alternator in the vehicle. They've put them to large, well, 5 kilowatt batteries in the vehicle. So at least when the vehicle is stopped, it's not emitting diesel. So that's a good, it's a step up, but I'll talk more a bit about these in a moment. Fire trucks. Last year, okay, actually no, 2019, there was a German, it was a hybrid fire truck that it was mainly electric on drive, but it had a diesel generator sort of as a backup to keep it going. This one here is the E1 EV1, and it's out of Scotland, 100% electric. So I expect to see those showing up in North America, and I suspect that Vancouver might be the first one doing that. Police. Police forces, and I'm going to do a whole lot more on this in another presentation. But police forces, as I said, they spent a lot of time idling, and these are cheaper to operate, and people just don't try and outrun you in the first place. So they're pretty awesome. And here we got, so that's the Model 3, then we got the Model Y here. We've actually shown 5 different police forces on the South Island here. You know, beautiful white Model Y. We'd shown them a vehicle that has more space inside than their is more comfortable. We asked for their biggest officers to show up and hop in them. One officer was 6'5", 300 pounds, and with all his gear on, he was pretty happy in there. So it's kind of like the right size vehicle. And the department saves a hockey sock of money in operations and maintenance. Like I say, more of that on another day. Pickups. So I'm going to show you the picture here, the Chevy Silverado and the Ford F-150. The electric versions should be showing up sometime in 2022, maybe. I can't show you what the electric ones actually look like because they haven't revealed what they're going to look like. They haven't revealed if there's going to be a huge frunk in these vehicles or not. They haven't revealed much in the way of production plans, although Ford is hoping to work up to about 38,000 a year. And I think they make somewhere north of 700,000 F-150s a year. So you can see they're all in on EVs. You know, at least we'll get some. Rivian, they're coming onto the market, hopefully in 2022, although, oh, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. You're going to see some delivered to the early reservation holders, hopefully this summer. And this is an awesome truck. Lots of room in the back, the biggest frunk going anywhere. A big cargo tunnel back here behind the second row of seats. It is a pricey piece of kit. Rivian is kind of following Tesla's route of starting at the high end of the market and then working their way down. So I'm not sure how many of these we might see in fleet use, but it'll be there should somebody want to make that choice. And then we have the Tesla Cybertruck, which should be showing up in 2022. The factory is still being worked on down in Austin, Texas. Mr. Musk has been pressed 5 ways from Sunday to commit that they'd be cranking them out this year. The last thing, like 2 days ago, he was asked, "Oh, will we get a Cybertruck this year?" And he said, "We'll be in full production of the Model Y this year in Texas." So, yeah. So I'd say it's safer to say 2022. Yeah, and that'll be a kick-ass truck because it's going to be competitive price-wise with these two guys, probably leading them, I might say, and they're going to crank them out at a much higher rate. Tesla's got something like 1 million 1 million reservations for the Cybertruck. So they have a lot of demand that they have to answer to. Cargo vehicles. I'm going to show you this Mercedes-Benz e-Sprinter, which should be coming to North America as a 2023 product. Again, you know, the electric motors up front, skateboard underneath, in box truck, flatbeds, people movers, and an ambulance. More importantly, in that you know, or companies like Dodge, now Stellantis, they frequently buy these up and rebadge them to sell them under their name. And even the Ford Transit is really Mercedes-Benz product underneath. So we might see these earlier in somebody else's badge than 2023. Cargo and waste vehicles. Here we have Lion out of Quebec. This is already being produced. Freightliner, which is owned by Daimler out of Europe. The North American headquarters is down in Oregon. Lion, of course, is out of Quebec. So these are both, this is already in the hands, limited numbers are in the hands of customers on the west coast of the US. And these, I can't remember who's got them in their hands now, but they're available. It's a Class 8 truck. And Lion also produces a waste vehicle, Class 8. A little bit more about Lion, in that they produce an entire range of vehicles, including buses. And the interesting thing about this slide is down here in the bottom, customers. Got some pretty big customers in there. Another slide for cargo vehicles. Here we go, Rivian. So the other thing that Rivian is doing, which is probably slowing down their production of their truck and the SUV that's going to be based on their truck, is because Ford came along, gave them $500 million, and Amazon came along initially for $700 million. And then Ford had enough of a look at what was happening inside Rivian, and they pulled out. And then Rivian threw some more money at them. All that to say that Rivian's got a contract to produce 100,000 of these vans for Amazon between here and 2030. And these are already on the streets in California, delivering. Workhorse company, and they have got a very large contract from a company called Pride Group Leasing. A bit more about them. The contract is over the next 4 or 5 years for 6,500 of these delivery vehicles. And Pride is a leasing company. So they'll own it and they'll lease it out to people like, you know, UPS or wherever else. They'll lease them out. So we should see those on the road here soon. GM announced right after they promised to give, I think, a 1.5 billion spent in Ontario. They promised they're going to bring out the EV600 here. And they say they're going to have limited numbers coming off the line by the end of 2021. We're going to take that at face value. Ford e-Transit. Notice it looks a whole lot like an e-Sprinter. Just a coincidence. Anyway, 2022, we should see some of these on the road. Arrival. These are an interesting British company. Instead of going out and spending a couple $2 billion to build a factory and then shipping all their vehicles around the world, they've kind of come down on the line of creating micro factories that can be set up for something less than $100 million. And they set up these factories close to wherever the market is. And you know, a lot of the vehicle is aluminum, but all the body panels are CRP, so fancy plastic, really. There is no paint on it. The color is baked all the way through, so you don't care about scratches. The pieces are very, very resistant to bangs and bumps and stuff. They don't dent. And when you decide a piece is too mangled up to be used, it just gets melted down, goes back to the factory, gets melted down and made into another panel. So it's a really interesting concept. And the first one in North America is being built down in Georgia. Peachland. And last up, canoe. So canoe here, people might have seen they have another vehicle, which is tighter than this. And it's meant to be like an Uber or a co-owned thing. So it comes around, picks up a number of people, drops them off. COVID came along and they decided they're going to put a lot more effort into delivery vehicles. So they have this really interesting vehicle, and it can get up to like 400 or 500 kilometers of range, and the pricing is pretty compelling. They only fly in the ointment, and they say they're going to produce by 2023. But the fly in the ointment is that the same team that was supposed to bring Faraday Future vehicles to the market, or a lot of them are involved in this. So the concept is brilliant. The vehicle is brilliant. I'm not really sure about the production team that has to bring this out. Construction equipment. Okay, here we've got the Case backhoe. This is meant to be used on site for a steady 8-hour shift. And of course, being if you've ever sat by the side of the road and watched a backhoe work, there's a guy working the backhoe. There's usually one or two guys with shovels. And then in between the digs with the backhoe, the guy pulls the bucket back out of the trench. And then he waits for the guys with the shovels doing whatever they're doing. And generally the vehicle is sitting there and running. The diesel is running, and the guys in the trench are sucking it in. The guy in the cab is sucking it in. The people driving past are sucking it in. The flag holders are sucking in all that diesel. This will sit there, not emit anything, and not use any energy either. So they're they know they can run a full 8-hour shift, no problems there. And then we have Bobcat electrics. All their electric vehicle or electric tools. And these all have the advantage in that they can work indoors. And again, all made for your 8-hour shift. Okay, now heavy Class 8 vehicles. Freightliner. Remember, I told you that they were Daimler owned. So these are already working on the US West Coast. A local company, Loblaws, has stated they're going to buy a whole bunch. I can't find out how many, but they said they're going to do it, so that's great. They're about 240 to 400 kilometer range vehicles, depending on how you set it up. So that's good. And then Lion, again, out of Quebec, they got an order with Canadian National Railways for 50 of their Class 8 tractor trailers, and that'll do intermodal services. So taking things from the rail yard to a shipyard, for instance, might be one of the things they do there. And this other company, I'm not sure you've heard of them. Sounds like Tesla. Anyway, their semi-truck, Quality Foods here on the island, has ordered 3. Walmart Canada has upped their buy a couple times to it now stands at about 130. And remember I talked about Pride Group, that leasing company? They've got an order in for 150. So yeah, that's going to be really good. Okay, so that's the end of that thing, and hopefully the start of a beautiful future.